I hear drums.
You hear drums.
Sounds like war drums. Are you ready to get to our war session? Okay, I kind of thought he was going to say that with me. It sounded a lot less epic with just me.
You're going to have a lone war session, buddy.
All right, guys. If you've been following us since the beginning, our first show was called Pre-Game Uncharted Thoughts, where we were talking about how we thought the undie when it came out.
Yes, sir.
Ever since then, we watched it, and we wanted to wait for you guys to watch it, and then we just kept on talking and getting busy and not talking about it. Well, today,
we're going to talk about it?
We're going to talk about what we thought of Uncharted.
Woohoo!
The movie.
Uncharted, the movie.
I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'm going to let Marcus take over.
All right, so I think we should start with the characters here. What did you think about the characters? Because me, personally, I kind of liked all these characters in their own way.
And you would not be the only one, because I guess...
we should state, so Mike is coming from a perspective of a fan who's played the games before. I'm just coming at this, just watching it like a normal movie.
Pretty much a fanboy of Tom Holland.
Yes and no.
That's crazy, because get out of my head, I was just about to tell him that. Anyways. What'd you ask me?
I said that I like these characters. What did you think of them?
Oh, well, you wouldn't be alone, because I believe that anybody who likes the games also loves these characters, because all of them pretty much fit their character.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think the only weak point when it came to these characters was really just Mark Wahlberg's character, and that's only just because of the lesson he was learning. Because it was just like, average Joe treasure hunt lesson, like, oh yeah, the people are more important than the gold.
Yeah, but I really liked Mark Wahlberg doing it.
Mark Wahlberg did a good job.
Yeah, he was really enjoyable to watch as Sully, I'm not going to lie.
What did you think of his mustache at the end?
See, if you didn't like it, I could see why. But actually, he has that mustache in the games.
Yeah, I think you told me that.
Yeah. So,
and I was like, hey, it makes sense, but Mark Wahlberg, man, does not look good with the mustache.
Before we go any farther, I should warn you guys that this may contain spoilers. So if you have not seen Uncharted yet, just watch the news section and tune us out. All right. Back to the war session.
I honestly liked how Tom Holland's character... By the way, I don't remember any of these characters' names, so I'm going by the actor's name except for the girl because I don't know her name.
Well, Mark Wahlberg played Sully, and now you're talking about Tom Holland, and he played the main character Drake.
Drake. I don't know how I didn't know that.
His last name's Drake. It's actually Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake. Yes. So I liked his character and how he was trying to not technically going and find his brother, but he had this perspective of basically, oh yeah, I can go at it on my own. Oh, now we have this treasure hunt. Okay, I gotta work with this guy. But everyone's just betraying each other over and over again.
Which is why I actually really liked Nathan Drake. I mean, I like him in the game for this reason too, but I like Tom Holland's interpretation of him too, because what's cool is he was like a main character of an anime. Like, he was innocent.
Yeah.
He just wanted to go on the adventure.
Not totally innocent, though. He did steal stuff.
Well, I was getting to that, too. He was, innocent and wanting to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
But, other than that, he was kind of like a Rico Suave kind of guy. Because,
Suave.
He was, trying to hit on that girl on the beginning, and it didn't go that well, and then you found out that all it was just for him to take the... Was it a watch or a bracelet?
What scene are you talking about?
The beginning, when he first steals from the
it's bar. I believe it's a watch. I think it's a watch.
Yeah, it's either a watch or a bracelet.
One of those
he slyly takes it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this dude's crafty.
When it came to the girl, I did like her.
Chloe?
Yeah, Chloe. I liked her. I liked all these characters in general. Well, when it came to her, I was just like, man, she is such a hypocrite. Because, like, she's like, oh, yeah, Sully betrayed me so many times, I don't trust him. Which, like, yeah, okay. But then it's like, Nathan figures out where the gold is and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he leaves all the stuff there. And then she just goes and takes off while he's sleeping. And it's like, you can't be trusted.
Never trust a girl in red. And in the first scene she came in, she was in red.
I was like, that's when I was like, oh man, she's a hypocrite.
She's like that in the game too. You think you're on the same side, and then you're not, and then you are.
Drake saved your life, man.
But
Come on.
That's actually what makes her such an interesting character. A lot of people will notice when they watch this, which you didn't because you didn't play the games.
No.
But there's actually another character, another like sort of love interest, called Elena.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a reporter, and she's like the good girl. So
the good girl or the good girl?
So what would have been cool for you to see is if they would have also had Elena, which they probably will have her in the second one because it was successful and they're going to make more and they have a plan for it. What would be cool for you to see is Elena's kind of like the good angel on your shoulder.
Uh-huh.
Where Chloe's kind of like the devil on your shoulder. So, and he's like, which one do I like? Well, I know which one he ends up going for, obviously, because I played the games, but you don't.
Nope. I did like how overall, like, Nathan did learn, like, hey, this is how the business is with us. Everyone's basically betraying each other. You know, you can't trust us, but you gotta trust us. And I actually thought that was, like, an interesting concept.
I like was he Polish or Switzerland or I don't know. I like the big not mafia boss, but I like the big guard that came in when he was trying to cut off the power. And he's like, oh, yo,
I think it was Irish, and he's like, what did you say?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe they put that in the trailer, and I still laughed at it in the movie. That doesn't happen often.
That's just because it's such a good scene.
I laughed so hard at that.
See the game? Nate has these witty lines that go back and forth with people.
Yeah.
That always are funny or like just humorous. They lighten the mood. And the reason I liked this movie is because Tom Holland did a good job of using those same like witty comebacks and forth, like with that time with the Irish guy.
I guess playing Spider-Man, he has.
But yeah, I was gonna get to that. That's
he has some experience.
That's why I like him in Spider-Man, because I feel like he did a good Peter Parker at doing all those like little one-liners to himself when he was like anything would happen, you know.
So overall, we both like the characters.
Yeah.
This was. I thought this was a good cast. The acting was good. Always loved Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg. I loved the girl who played Chloe. I thought she did a good job. The villains were good too.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is like, you thought that one villain was the main villain, but it turned out to be another person. You probably knew, maybe, but I didn't.
No, I always thought she was just a sidekick.
Oh, so this was a surprise for you too.
Yeah, then when she slit his throat, I was like...
Yeah, I was like, dang, everybody's betraying everyone. I don't know who the main villain is right now.
The funny thing is, I was shocked, but at the same time, I wasn't like, oh, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Honestly, I expected, like, another henchman to be like, to slit her throat. Like, no, I'm the main boss now. Then another comes like, nah, I'm the main boss now.
And then some person comes in and says, look at me. I'm the captain now. All right,
so let's get on to story here. So what were your likes on this? You like the story overall? What were your dislikes? Which one?
If you're coming into this expecting it to be game one, then you're not going to like the story. But it's not called Uncharted Drake's Fortune, which is the name of the first game. Mm-hmm. It's just called Uncharted. And I did go see it a second time, and I noticed that they are setting up to go into Drake's Fortune. Now, the fourth game does like a little bit of a prequel, and it's like does the prequel, the beginning of Nathan's life, like what we saw. And it does the ending, like his last mission.
Okay.
So what I think is that they took the beginning part of that, him growing up and stuff, and like his beginnings, and they took a little piece of like the third game, and they made it essentially their own story, which I like. I thought the story was good.
Yeah, basically they did what Marvel did, took these different pieces and combined it into one, basically.
Yeah, but they didn't take anything from the first or second game. And at the end, when you saw that scene where they were looking for they're setting up into the first game, and that's why when he came in at the end, Sully had his gun, his signature revolver gun, and his mustache.
Yeah. Brought his cat with him.
Yeah. Plus, when you play the first Uncharted, it's not a prequel. Nathan and Sully are already friends.
Okay.
And when he bumps into Chloe, I don't know if it's that game or the second game, but he already knows Chloe too.
So is there a prequel to the games, or did they just take different pieces from other games and made that into a prequel?
The fourth game was a prequel and a sequel.
Interesting.
So it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4 still. So 4 is still the sequel to 3.
Okay.
It's his last adventure.
There are flashbacks,
but
I'm guessing?
They split it. Like they go back and forth, and they also show what happens before Uncharted 1.
Okay.
Which is why I like the fourth game. It's a really good game. But when I was watching it the second time, I kind of realized that I think what they're doing is they're taking the prequel part of it, and they mixed it with the third game with a little bit of like their own story. And I think they're going to go into the first game. My theory is they're going to go into the first game next for the next movie.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that it's only going to be a trilogy. They're going to go from this one to the first game, and then they're going to go to the second game with the ending of the fourth game.
Okay. As long as it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Or they just might go their own route. I just noticed that it heavily dealt with the prequel side, and some obviously because they were falling out of the scene or the airplane. That's from the third game.
Okay.
So that's where I got this theory. None of this is concrete. Like, nobody's come out and said this. This is just all personal theory. To get back to the original question, though, I like the story. Whether it goes with the games or not. It was a good story. You?
I thought the story was... I thought it was okay. I like the fact that, like, what we stated before, like, everyone's going in, betraying each other. But, like, at the same time, it's just an average treasure hunt movie. Doesn't really do anything that special until, like, the third act comes in. Because when they're battling with those ships in the air, I thought that was really cool. I was like, yo, this is a good third act. I'm really liking this.
Yeah.
Except for the part where, like, if I was the villain and I had a ship that was worth a ton of money plus the gold inside, I'd be like, hey, let's put that ship down onto the boat and then let's go and get that one back. Or I could just not be greedy and say, yeah, we got this ship. We're rich. Yeah. I'm good to go.
Realistically, you could have just took the one boat.
Yeah.
Get away with the other, and you would have still been more than rich, especially considering you killed the guy who you had to split the money with.
Yeah.
But the whole point is thieves are greedy.
That is true.
And they're all thieves.
I'm just saying. It works for the story. I'm just saying, like, hey, if we were going realistic wise, like, this would happen. But when it comes to realism in movies, you can't really rely on that too much.
Now, don't know if this would change your opinion from okay to like a little better or anything, but when you make one of these adventure movies like this, they're essentially supposed to be the same. They're not bringing any new element. The reason people like these movies is because they like the puzzles and they like seeing new places that they go on adventures with, because it's cool. Like when you watch Tomb Raider or Treasure, what's the one Nicolas Cage is in?
Gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. National Treasure.
Yeah, National Treasure, Indiana Jones. I mean, Tomb Raider. I mean, they're all the same. They're going hunting for treasure, right? There's always a bad guy.
Well, they're the same, but they're also different. Because
Oh yeah, or else it would all be called the same movie.
Nicolas Cage, the reason why he's doing the treasure hunt in the first place is because it's not really a treasure hunt for him. He wants to see a piece of history and bring that to like a museum or something. He wants to discover a piece of history for the world to see. For these people, they want.
So does Tomb Raider.
Well, I didn't really watch. Well, I don't know. We're talking about. It probably doesn't even matter between
Indiana Jones too. What I'm saying though is you're not.
The thing is though, I didn't watch Indiana Jones.
Oh, you're not.
I've watched Tomb Raider, but it's been a long time since I've watched Tomb Raider. The only one I can really recollect is National Treasure.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is, it's kind of like when somebody goes to see an action movie. I mean, most action movies follow similar plots.
But you have a different opinion on each action movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one action movie can be the same and can be okay. Another one can be the same as that one, but it could be great. It just depends what the execution and what you do with it.
Yeah, but most of the time when they're judging the action movie, they're not judging it on the story. They're judging it on how well.
If you don't judge a movie by a story, then what do you judge it on?
I was just telling you that.
What do you mean?
I was explaining that you don't judge it. They don't judge it on the story. They're going, and there's like the action movies. They're judging it based on the characters and the actors and how well they act.
But you do judge a movie based on the story. Because I mean, the story is part of it. But we have like you said, like the actors, and there's also stuff like soundtrack that can play a big role. But at the same time, we have all these different movies. They are the same overall. Because, like, here's the thing. Like, every single movie, like, follows the hero's journey, right? If you look at that as a whole, like, basically a bunch of movies are the same.
Yeah. But some of them can execute it poorly, and some of them can execute it good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the story is any better than the last story. That just means they pieced it together worse.
So aren't you not just proving my point, then? Oh.
This is a fruit juice. And this is a fruit juice.
Uh-huh.
They could add more sugar to this fruit juice, and I think this one tastes better.
Yeah?
This could still be the same fruit juice as this fruit juice, so they could both be apple juice. But this one, they didn't use the best apples. So this one tastes like garbage to me. But they're still both apple juice.
I still feel like you're proving my point here. This is a fruit juice. This is a fruit juice. This fruit juice may have more sugar in it. But this fruit juice uses the best apples. So that probably makes this fruit juice like healthier, but this one probably tastes better.
Yes.
So like, which one do you go for?
They're both made out of apples, right?
Yes, they're both made out of apples.
The apples in this point would be the story. The story's the same. They're both made out of apples.
Exactly.
But as
the story's the same, but they're both different.
As I was saying, the actors, the things that go into it, are what make it taste different.
But the story, if the story is not like...
Let's start over.
Let's say the story doesn't make sense.
Hold on, you're getting confused.
No, I'm not getting confused.
Well, if you would let me explain, then you would know if you're
I
confused
am letting you explain. I feel like you were saying the same thing here.
You're getting defensive. Avatar, let's take Avatar.
Okay, let's wait.
Are the one that James Cameron...
Okay, so we're talking about Blue People Avatar.
Yes, the one that James Cameron made that became #1 movie in the world.
Yep.
And then let's take an adventure game like Uncharted that you just watched.
Okay.
Now, if you're comparing those two movies, I could see why you would think that the story of this sucks. I could see why Uncharted sucks because you're comparing it to an original, new idea, whole different story. Not following the same niche.
Okay.
But if you were to take National Treasure, which is a movie that I know you like.
Yep.
And you compare it to Uncharted.
Yep.
They're both the same story.
Okay. But I can still think...
But you said that this one is great and that this one is okay. Now, I was just saying you should reconsider only under the fact that you said nothing new is happening here. But I said people go to see stuff like National Treasure when they go to see an adventure movie, not saying that they're going to see a whole new movie like Avatar with a great experience. Saying that people go into it knowing, because you went into Uncharted knowing that it was going to be a treasure hunting movie.
I did, yes.
So you knew what you were getting.
I did know what I was getting.
You weren't getting Avatar.
No, I didn't expect Avatar from the movie.
So instead of comparing it to a new movie, like I said, like all the other stuff, like breaking the mold, I was saying just compare it to other treasure hunting movies.
But I wasn't comparing it to other movies like Avatar and stuff. I was just saying I thought this movie was okay because it does all the same.
Right.
It does all the same
Let's
stuff.
clear the
Like we
air.
got all of the.
Let's clear
Can I
the
finish
air.
my thought real quick?
Sure.
Okay, that's all the same. Like we got the puzzle and the gold and the characters and stuff like that. I'm not saying these elements are bad or anything. I'm just saying.
All right, go back to why
I
you
thought
saw,
this
why did you
was
think
okay.
the story was okay?
That's how I felt about it. I went. So let's say. So we got National Treasure, right? So we got National Treasure that came out a long time ago.
Yes.
I don't know how long ago it came out. But we got this movie, and then we got Uncharted. So this movie has puzzles. It has and it has a treasure. Let's just have those two things just to simplify it. This movie also has puzzles and has a treasure. Those two elements are the same. Now, what you also have is you have characters and characters. The thing that makes a story...
Just so y'all know, we've been using cans.
We've been using cans this whole time.
Just for the people who are listening to audio, we've been using a monster and a snap to make our points.
The thing that makes the story is the characters. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have this character from National Treasure...
Shouldn't that be point blank already answered then? You just said the characters were good, but somehow you said the story's okay. But you just said the characters make the story.
Yeah, but the characters are also on a journey at the same time.
And weren't those characters on a journey? You just said you liked them because of the journey.
I said I like
And
the
then the
characters,
actors.
but there's also the story in general. You can have the characters and have some point in the story where the story doesn't make sense. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say like this doesn't have like everything makes sense in both movies makes sense. But let's say in National Treasure there's this thing that makes completely sense, but then in some point during the movie in Uncharted, this thing doesn't make sense. Well, then you're going to complain about like, wait a minute, this character wouldn't do this based on what I've seen so far. They probably made this decision based on their knowledge and stuff.
Exactly.
So to you, that wouldn't make any sense. That would be a part of the journey that you wouldn't like because that character wouldn't make that decision. So what do we have here, Mike?
I have us talking about characters for some reason.
So we have two different stories. That's the reason why I think this one is okay. Yes, they both have puzzles. Yes, they both have what was I saying? Treasure. I'm getting caught up in my analogies here.
Fair enough. But what was your original, statement?
Like I thought the movie was okay, and
why?
you're asking me why the movie was okay.
You also said why you didn't. You said I only thought it was okay because of what was the because of that you said at the beginning?
I liked the puzzles. The puzzles were fine. I thought there was one piece of puzzle I actually did like, which was the cross keys. I like that whole entire.
That's about I got lost. I believe that your first thing you said.
No, the
was,
first thing you're right. The first thing I said was the first thing I said in general was like I didn't really see anything new that I would like to see probably in a treasure movie.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Okay,
one of the reasons I did say was the puzzles, but I was wrong about that because I actually did like the puzzles.
Just with that though.
But the thing
I wasn't saying that your statement was wrong.
I got lost. I will admit that. I should have said the characters is what it was.
Okay, I get that. I wasn't saying that your statement was wrong or that you don't have the
Well, no, you were asking me why you're asking me why I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're asking me why I thought it was okay. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, then you told
and you're
me.
right, I did get defensive, but I think that's because at one point you sounded more like, "Oh no, it's this and not this."
Oh yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is I think we got lost in the sauce again here.
I think we got lost in our analogies.
But no, I kind of liked them. They were funny, especially when nobody can realize that we're using cans. But no, whoa.
But if anything, this analogy helped me realize why I thought one movie was okay and why I thought one was good.
Yeah, which I still think that, if you think it's okay, you think it's okay. What I was trying to do is change the parameter.
I'll get that back to you.
I was trying to change the story, like what you're rating it on. So right now we're just rating it as a movie, like the story. So you already gave me that you think it's okay as just like its own story, not comparing it to anything else, just as going seeing it as a movie. You said that you think it was okay. It's nothing new. So I said, let's rate it on something different real quick. That's still your rating.
Okay, so what are we rating it on this time?
We're on a new, like I was saying, think about it instead of compared to all movies and you went to go see a film.
Okay.
I said, if we compare it to all the movies that are like that most people know that when they go see an adventure movie, that they know that they're going to get, they pretty much know what they're going to get. They're going to get...
Well, an adventure treasure hunt movie.
They're not going to get an original story most of the time. So I was saying, if you look back at National Treasure and Indiana Jones and stuff like that, they all follow the same situation. They all have goofy main characters or relatable main characters. They all have people they meet. They all have a bad guy. They all find puzzles. And they all get a treasure. Whether it be for various reasons.
What was that one movie? Was it Red Notice? With Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and the girl who played Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, that's also a treasure hunt, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixed with an action.
Because the thing is, I also really like that movie, too. And we recently saw that movie before we watched Uncharted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so... And the thing, the reason why I like that movie is because, like, the actors did a good job, like the ones in Uncharted did, but I think I like the dynamic more in Red Notice than I did in Uncharted.
Yeah.
So it could be something like how characters relate to each other. Could be a difference in a role.
I can see that. I wasn't expecting you to change your opinion from okay to, like, great. I was essentially saying that if you only compared it to other adventure movies, knowing that you're going to see an adventure movie,
but the thing is,
how was the movie overall?
We have to compare movies to other movies. Otherwise, how do we know what's good? How do we know when we're getting something new?
Yes.
We're not gonna get something new every time. That'd be ridiculous.
That's
like we have a formula that we follow.
That's essentially what I'm saying. When you go to see a Fast and the Furious movie,
you're gonna expect the same as the other ones.
When you go to see an action movie, with the exception of like a very few, sometimes somebody does break the mold. Like John Wick broke the action mold.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still go see an action movie, and they can still follow the same action movie. Like what are they called? Tropes or tropes? Yeah, tropes. They can follow the same action tropes that all action movies follow. But you can have a really bad movie because of like.
So are we saying the same thing here?
We're essentially saying the same.
Okay, thing. I feel like we're saying the same thing.
If there was no other movies except
for Uncharted,
like movies in the world, I was saying, would that change what you thought of the story? I didn't say to change what you thought of the story. Just saying, would it? So like, if you took out that you've seen any other movie except like National Treasure, Tomb Raider, like movies that follow that like trope, like I'm an adventurer, I'm gonna find treasure.
Yeah.
Would it change your opinion of the story? Would it be better or worse or the same?
So if I just saw movies like National Treasure or Tomb Raider and not like any other movies, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
It would probably be better, honestly.
That's all I was asking.
I
wasn't trying to convince you. Like, I know this is a war session. We're supposed to go at it. And I think that's probably why you got defensive.
I felt like you were trying to convince me is the thing, and that's why I got defensive. I was like, what's going on here? I feel like we're saying the same thing, but at the same time, we're not saying the same thing.
Yeah, like I said, it's like a war session, so we're supposed to, debate some things, but...
The thing is, we've only had a war session on the things we're saying the same thing about.
But yeah, all I was doing is trying to reframe the question into a new question.
So if I did see like just movies like National Treasure, Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, then I'd be like,
yeah,
oh yeah, this movie is good.
Yeah. So like, what's your?
And the thing is, this movie, like, I thought the movie was okay. This doesn't mean like you can say it's good, like, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Plus, the reason I probably could think that it's better than what you thought too is because I have the game nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they did a good job, so that like probably enlightened my thing. So yeah, like I had to re-say because it kind of sounded like you thought that I was attacking your point of view of it only being okay. But all I was trying to do was just say which I guess if I would have thought about it better when I asked the first time, I could have just said if there was no other movies.
Yes, you could.
Like but I thought
there was a certain way that you said it made me feel. Wait a minute, he's making it sound like my opinion is wrong.
But
and then we got deep into analogies, and I was getting lost in my own analogies. We got National Treasure and Uncharted.
All right. Well, speaking of, I got another one for you. So this is Marcus, and this is Mike. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so speaking of being a fan of the games and all that, this is one category that I can't really talk about because I'm not a fan of the games. What did you think of the adaptation accuracy? Would you say there is an adaptation accuracy overall, or would you say no because they took different pieces of the games and put them into like one story?
Yeah, that's where it's tough. So like, if you're asking about like if somebody, not specifically you, is asking about how good it is as an adaptation from the games. So, like, if they're looking for it just to be a single game, like, just like the first one or the second one, obviously it was a horrible adaptation because it wasn't the first game.
It wasn't the first game story all the way through.
Or the second, or the third, or the fourth. It was like little pieces, but it was like its own. It was its own thing.
Yeah.
So, as it being its own thing, it did have nostalgia scenes, but that would make it a poor adaptation. However, if you add into like, did the characters feel like the characters from the game, and if you would count that as an adaptation, then like, I feel like if you're gonna take a game, well, first off, let me start with my personal bias.
All right.
If you're gonna make an anime or a video game into a movie or a show, follow the script that's already written, because when we play Uncharted 1 or we watch My Hero Academia,
yep,
we like it. There's a reason it's popular.
Yeah.
So just follow the same script. Don't try to be original. We just want to see what it would look like with real people. That's the only reason we want a live adaptation.
For some things, not for all things.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But as far as them trying to make this not exclusively all video game like game one and it being a little bit of their own story, I didn't hate it. And I've seen a lot of adaptations and a lot of them suck, especially when it comes from anime or video games.
Yes.
So to answer your question, if I had to score the adaptation like out of 10, I'd give it like a 6 or a 7. Because I think the characters and the world that they set up like is very good adaptation of the game. But as far as the story that you see through the games, none of them follows them like bit by bit.
But you liked it as a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
It was cool to see the people that you like. So like if you fall
come
in
to
love,
the big screen.
Yeah, come to the big screen, whether it be a different story or not.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, like when
it was kind of like playing a new game.
When I went and watched Sonic the Hedgehog, like you go in and you're expecting like stuff like Green Hill and the stuff from the other games, but if you really think about it, it's like something you're getting something completely different on it.
You know, oddly, I like Sonic too.
I like Sonic, and it's getting a second movie for a reason.
And I'm really glad they didn't go with his first look.
Some say that was a marketing ploy. Who knows?
Did they actually say that?
It's probably what the companies like said. Honestly, I think it was just fan outrage.
Also, if you guys are wondering how we can go from almost tearing each other's heads off to very friendly conversation again, that's just because we're good friends.
Yeah.
That's why we would do a podcast where it's called War Session, where we can either do that or peacefully agree on something, is because we don't hate each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're not doing this to get under each other's skin. We're doing this because we like talking about anime and games and movies in general.
And sometimes it's just fun to hear two people argue. All right, you got anything else on?
I do. So I have pacing and soundtrack. I'm just going to combine those into one category just because I thought the pacing of the story was good. Same with the soundtrack. I didn't think the soundtrack was anything like, blow my mind or anything like that, but that's okay. Like, it was a good soundtrack overall. I liked it. Don't really remember any songs, if I'm being honest.
I was just going to tell you, I was going to say, I can't, score the soundtrack because I can't remember anything from the soundtrack.
Yeah, I just remember I didn't look at the soundtrack and be like, hey, this music doesn't work. I really thought every piece of music that they used worked for the film.
Now if you ask me about Batman's soundtrack, I could answer that because I remember hearing cool scenes where they were using cool music, but that's a different subject.
Yeah, and as for the pacing, it was good pacing throughout the whole entire film. There was never any time where it was like, hey, let's get through the first act as fast as we can or anything like that. I liked how they took their time with each act.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you and disagree with you, which might actually contradict my story being good now.
That's okay. I already contradicted myself today.
Well, I started thinking about it again, and I guess it wasn't until you asked me like this that I actually really thought about it like this. But so far as a movie, yes, the pacing I thought was good. But when I watched it the second time especially, I realized, and I don't know what this would change as far as my marks, but if you play the games, you start how Nathan did. There's the build up of the story.
Yep.
And he always thinks the treasure's somewhere, and you go there, have to solve some puzzles, and then you find out a deeper part of the history. I think it's a little bit of factual history mixed with obviously some story elements to make it move pace.
Yeah.
But then he would have to move to a different location, and he would go to 3 or 4. He would go on an adventure, 3 or 4 or 5 different locations before he finally uncovers the big mystery and gets to the final spot.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of this movie, I don't he did go to a couple different places, so they did good. And I know that they're not trying to make no 3-hour movie,
Yeah.
So people just hate it for being a 3-hour
Unlike
movie.
Batman.
Yeah. And maybe, like I said, I don't know if this changes any of my views. I'm just thinking about it it would have been cool to see him go to more places and temples or something to figure out a little more of the mystery. Because the only real puzzle, big puzzle, because there was a lot of little puzzles he was solving at the same time, but the only real big puzzle and cool old stuff from the treasure era or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're gonna have to
okay, so
retract.
The treasure is old.
Yeah.
So when you think of old, you think of old ruins and old puzzles, and old traps and stuff like that, and discoveries.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can think of that matched all of that is when they were at the church and they went underground and they were trapped under the water while he was trying to solve the puzzle up top to drain the water. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, they didn't have any other scenes like that where they went into old tombs or.
No, it was just that that church scene. I feel like the movie though was basically trying to find that place though, because if you look throughout, they have to get the crosses first because those are the keys, and then Sully has that book already, which has a clue on what hey, where did the keys go? And once you have the keys, you kind of have the treasure. And then, they went in and they didn't find the treasure right away, but there was another, what was a map or something? Yeah, there's a map to find to see where the treasure was. And then even after that, they still had to figure out, okay, this is just a map of the island. We got to figure out what part of the island we got to go to. And they did go, I don't know where they were. I'm just going to call it New York for now, because that's what it kind of looks like. Let's say New York. And then after that, they went out of the country, I think, to go to that church. And after that, I think they had to go completely somewhere else. So you got 3 different locations. It's probably not the most out of a treasure hunt movie.
True.
Because I think the only one I can compare to is...
I still stand by liking it. It's just, I guess...
a National Treasure, they go to the Arctic, and after that they go to Washington, D.C., and then I think they go to other places after that.
Yeah, speaking of National Treasure, when he's doing National Treasure, he goes into he does a lot of cool stuff. He flips the dollar bill. He's like, oh, this, and then he finds the tomb, and he goes through all this ancient stuff.
And I think the reason why I like National Treasure more is just not because of the characters. I think it's because, hey, a clue is just a normal $100 bill. I guess technically that's not normal because it's a $100 bill. Who carries those anymore? But he looked through a $100 bill, and it was there's special symbol in there or something, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's cool when they do stuff like that. I think what I'm trying to say is the pacing was fine, and I think the movie was fine. I guess to simplify what I'm saying is I just think it would have been cool to see more, more of the ancient discovery.
more stuff that had to do with the ancient stuff of the boats and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
There was a scene that popped up when we were just talking that made me crack up.
These war sessions are getting longer and longer.
Oh, they are? No.
Yeah.
What's this one at?
We're at an hour and 20.
Oh, that's okay. We were at an hour and a half last time.
Oh, were we?
Just about to wrap up.
All right. That's basically all I have for movies in general. You said he had a funny scene you enjoyed?
Oh, yeah. Towards the end when he's solving the puzzle of where the location of the ships is.
Uh-huh.
And then he goes to bed, and then Chloe wakes up and says, "Sorry, Drake."
Yeah, the freaking hypocrite.
Yeah.
And then
he pulls out, he's like, "But I sent her to the wrong location."
Yeah, I was like, yes, my boy learned. That's what I also like about this movie. Nathan is basically learning about this industry, I'm gonna call it. And how, this is the way you gotta be because you basically can't trust anyone. And the reason I did like how the puzzles, fit the theme of, we have to trust each other in order to get this treasure. Because one person has to go through the underground, and one person has to go through the top. So you gotta be in two different locations. You can't get it by yourself.
It's a trust exercise.
Exactly.
All right,
so overall score.
I went into this thinking I was going to give it a 9 out of 10 when I saw that you had said that we had to give it a score at the end. But actually, talking through this with you now, I'm actually going to bump the 9 down to an 8.
9 to an 8.
The movie is good. It's a good adaptation. You'll enjoy yourself watching it. You might even watch it again. But you might not consider it one of the greats like Indiana Jones or National Treasure. And I'll stand by that.
All right. For me, I'm sorry to say I'm going to have to give it a 6.
6?
Yeah. I think it has really good elements in there. And I'm going to say again, I do like the puzzles. I just think some of the dynamics between the characters plus some of the themes that we learn could have been a little bit better. Other than that, overall, yeah, it's a good movie.
But we're both still above a 5, so does that mean we're in agreement or?
Yes and no. We're both saying the movie is good for different reasons, but we're in disagreement about how good the movie is. And I think that just might be because of different perspectives.
To end this simply, to see if we really disagree or don't, would you, if somebody said, I'm thinking about watching Uncharted, should I? I would say, yeah, I think you'll enjoy yourself. What would you say, yes, or would you say no?
I would say I think that's a movie I would see again.
There you go, guys.
It's not one of those movies I would say, hey, you gotta go see this in theaters again, right away. But it's oh, you're gonna see Uncharted? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll go see it with you.
We'll end this in a truce then.
All right.
This is a peace treaty.
All right.
Because we both would say yes, but we obviously.
And honestly, Despite the fact that I did give it a 6, a sequel, I'm guessing, is coming because it was successful. I would go see the second one.
And they'll have more budget.
Just because...
I think the second one could possibly be better, too, because because it did good, they'll have more money to be able to spend. And they already have pre-existing, chemistry.
Yeah, if anything, I would call this movie... I would call it safe. And there's nothing wrong...
I would agree with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. A safe movie is gonna... it's at least gonna get above a 5, I would say.
It would be entertaining, but it might be with your score, I would imagine somebody said, it entertained me, but it's a one-time watch.
Yeah.
Or I would say that it's entertaining, and you may want to watch it a second time. Oh, let's talk about what we're going to talk about next.
All right, what are we talking about next week for the war session?
Let's see. Batman came out last week?
Batman, we saw... Oh, I think we saw Batman...
Was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
Oh, I think that might have been 2 weeks ago.
If it's 2 weeks, that means it would have been 3 weeks next week when we do our podcast.
I'm trying to...
I just want to give people enough time to go see it.
Ooh. Hey, Siri. When did Batman come out?
Which one?
We're asking Siri.
Oh, Batman. I shouldn't have just said Batman. There are too many Batman movies.
Batman Beyond.
All right. Hey Siri.
Batman Begins.
Hey Siri. When did The Batman come out? That's the wrong The Batman.
All right, guys. Before we go,
never mind.
I do want to say that we will, after this point, we'll let you guys know what the next week's war session is going to be. Without a doubt, we'll have more of a plan. It was a lot of work than what I thought to try to get the podcast, because we have 4 of them, and I'm trying to get them listed on places, and I had to do a lot of research to how to get them on the places, and I found that you can get a hosting site that gets them on all the places for you guys to get them. And it was a lot of work to figure out. Plus, me and him are working. We go to work.
We have other projects that we do.
So I didn't have time to prepare next week, but I promise that if you stay tuned in, that from now on at the end, I'll tell you what you can look forward to the following week. And nothing left to say besides that I am deeply in love with you.
Oh, baby!
That's Otaku Wars. We'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's that first day of first grade. That cute girl, your third day. That backpack, that snapback you've had since the 3rd grade. The first time you got laid, the worst time you got played. It hurt, but you're okay. You learn from your mistakes. Your friends back.